Thompson Productions.
Let this be a reminder to you all that this organization will not tolerate failure.
The side of the federal building has been blown off, Jesse.
I don't understand it 'cause you won't say yes, but you don't say no. Saying no, we shouldn't.
They believe they were part of a CIA project called MK Ultra.
I'm giving up on trying to sell you things that you ain't buying.
Just like a segment of society that is not living in reality.
In a certain sense, we're kind of a little bit more Israel's vassal state.
There are police chiefs facilitating prostitution networks.
Do you understand? It's all in your head. It's your move.
What up, what up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Dump with Jose Galison and Austin Picard from the Underclass Podcast and Jose from No Way Jose. So we are obviously together this morning.
Hell yeah.
Schizo Bros Assemble. We have, well, first of all, we have big news, right?
Big old news. Tig old
big-
bitty news.
Right.
Tig
Which,
old bitty news, yeah.
Obviously, if you haven't been paying attention, we won't discuss it for too long.
Yeah.
But Schizo Bros Go to Vegas is basically the gist
Yep.
of it.
Tickets are booked, baby. Tickets
So
are
happy.
booked. I do have a live video of me with that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The tickets. Oh, do I not have it anymore?
Oh yeah.
Maybe I don't. Actually, never mind. I took down that tab. Whatever. No, I never mind. I'll show real quick our trip is. God damn it! I hate this stupid setup. I hate this. Is this it? Is this it? No, that's not it. Fucking A. How am I screwing this up so hard? Here we go. Why could I not find this tab? Here is me with the tickets right here.
What's this, you fucking piece of shit? What's this?
Yeah, it's dumb as hell. All right, yeah, we got the tickets. I bought the tickets, so it's a done deal. I mean, I guess I would normally. I feel like it's normally the move is you keep a lot of this stuff close to the chest. But considering we run a daily show, it's kind of hard to because it's like we'll be gone and like also it's just kind of obvious. Like, how is he not letting us? And it's I know I can't keep a secret, so why? Unless this was like something secretive. But I don't know. I've not been sworn to secrecy, so I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and release the details. April 19th looks like at least that weekend. I don't know if it'll exactly be the 19th or not, but that looks like the time frame. So that's only a couple weeks away. What is it? This weekend's the 5th and the 6th. The following, so it's like what we have 2 weekends before then and now.
Yeah.
So me and you need to start getting on it. But not only are we going on Jake Shields' podcast, but it looks like we're doing a double feature on his podcast. We're doing, obviously this is subject to change, but it looks like I think we're doing 2 episodes. I think we're going to do a Oklahoma City bombing episode because it is on April 19th, because I did tell him that. And I think this is what gave him the idea. I told him, like, when we were trying to schedule, I was like, hey, I don't know, like, if you have a date in mind, but, like, it is April 19th. It is the 30th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. So I don't know if you want to do something then. I was kind of like, other than that, like, whatever, I can do whenever. Just let me know. I just figured you want to know. And he was like, oh, shit, yeah, I'd love to talk about that. He's like, you know a lot about Oklahoma City bombing? Because he didn't know. I was like, yeah, that's kind of my big thing. And, like, we had initially been, like, come on to talk about the Finders and Dutro. And I don't even think he's aware of how it all connects. So I don't think he's aware of what we're going to hit him with.
Excited,
I think in his head, he's like, oh, that's just 2 subjects. I'm like, nah, dog, that's one gigantic fucking subject, dude. Which honestly ties into our other subject. So I said we're doing we're doing 2 episodes. But the way I'm kind of envisioning it is that they are 2 episodes, but they're like a subsets of a larger theme. So it is like we're kind of doing a giant Gladio episode, but the first episode being the kind of like foot in the door, kind of soft, like, ooh, this is how we kind of pull you in, gently with Oklahoma City bombing. It's more like, oh, John Doe 2. Ooh, how many how many people saw him? Why didn't they call any of them to the stand? It's like it's more like it's more humdrum, more droll, more like
Foreplay,
more
PG
yeah.
says.
It's more like you kind of suck them into it. You get them to like, well, this seems believable, and then once you get them into the the idea of Gladio and like kind of warm them up to it with that, then you're like, all right, buddy, now we're off to the races. Let's go to the Finders and the Trudeau Affair. So that's kind of how it
black
works.
belt, Jake. Let's get that black belt and conspiracy theories, brother.
And they're all even the Oklahoma City bombing, in my opinion. These are all examples of the same overarching phenomenon. So it is like it kind of is like we're just starting from one end of the spectrum to the other. We're working our way there. So I don't know. I think it's cool. We'll go split up into two. We'll do Oklahoma City bombing episode, and then probably I don't know a month or so later we'll release an episode that's going to be more the dark lore of Gladio as opposed to the entry level shit that we'll be doing with Oklahoma City bombing.
Definitely did. I mentioned this to I mentioned that to Sam, and last night actually I got hit up late as fuck.
You did another one last night?
Dude,
Was it
I'm
3
telling
this
you,
fucking
man,
week? What the hell,
brother.
dude?
I don't know, but I'm excited.
Which
but
I guess that does lead. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but don't let me forget. I do want to kind of talk about the new. I guess it's not a different format. We're just more reinforcing what the format is, and adjusting expectations of the audience. But I guess with that, that kind of perfectly ties into that message. But go on.
Yeah. No, if you remember on what was it, Saturday, dude. I'm like everything's starting to run together at this point.
Yeah.
But when we talked at like 8:30 my time, I had gone to bed at like 5, which makes no sense. I haven't done that in a long ass time. So like I need to get my shit together, to be honest.
You need to like, I don't know, set some I don't know, what's the word, boundaries with Sam. Like, come on, man. All right. Like you could like, it's like if you have a girlfriend that's like has a like it's I don't know if. Have you ever been in like a relationship where like they have way higher sex drive than you or something? You're like, come on, like I mean, this is like fun. I enjoy it, but like I need some time. Like I need to be able to do other things in my life. That's what Sam's show is becoming. Like, come on, let's go. You're like, I can't do it again. Give me another day.
Oh my god. I'm like, it's been so much fun though, and Brad's a fucking trooper, dude. Like
he's on Eastern time,
dude. He pulls, it's hilarious. But I will say, 5 a.m. Saturday, that was my fault. So
yeah,
I'm basically.
I mean, a lot of this seems to be you getting your shit together. But I guess on that note, I do want to let you guys know, there wasn't any morning dumps this weekend, and that was somewhat intentionally. I guys like sort of setting boundaries. I do think that this is partially my fault, I think, and also I mean I guess mostly my fault really is that I feel like I've kind of set the standard of like we're trying to do 7 days a week here. I think the move is the way to envision this show, the morning dump, is 5 plus 2. So it's like we're shooting for a Monday through Friday. If we do weekend stuff, cool, but do not ever expect that. And I think I think I was almost setting a standard in my head that like we were going to get to 7 days a week. I don't even know if that should ever be the goal because, and at least I don't know about you unless like you're going to pick up other days, but at least for me, envisioning where I want to go forward, and I think we're at a spot where we're kind of. Let's be real. We're getting ready to go on Jake Shields. We're clicking up with Top Lobs, all that stuff. Like things are happening. So I think we're getting ready to go another stage. So how do I want this to look going forward? I don't want it to be 7 days a week of a morning show. I mean that would be cool, but it is also I've just noticed it's too much. I would like to do 5 days and then with time left over maybe do writing because I would like to get back into writing or something for the future. So maybe start putting out like one piece a week or something like that. I'm sure probably whatever given thing I'm spurging on at the time, probably a lot of Oklahoma City bombing type content. But so that way I can actually get a little bit deeper understanding and kind of dig in. So at least that's how I envision it going forward. At least for me, I envision 5 days a week of morning dump. Obviously, I won't even be handling all of them. Also to let you guys know, the kind of what me and Austin have talked about is essentially Mondays and Tuesdays are your days, just like assumed. Even if I'm here, like today is a Monday, I'm riding second chair. Like you're the one who kind of has all the topics, you have all the stuff set up. So like today is like pretty much constructed by you. I play second chair. But then, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I play first chair, you play second chair if you join, and it's not expected that you join. So it is like theoretically, it could just be you do Monday, Tuesday, me do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if we join each other, we join each other. But so that way people can have an idea of when we're doing it. But point being is, I think that's a good format for us going forward. I know, especially with the episodes you put out, they're more in depth. So you put out, maybe one of those a week to every other week. Plus 5-day week show. I know for me, I also want to do the 2 paywalls. I just think it's a good product. Plus writing, I just know if I'm doing 7 days a week, I'm really cutting myself off from being able to do other stuff. So, but yeah,
I certainly know the more I'm writing, the more often I'm writing, the clearer my thought process, the easier it is for me to present. At least kind of like find the terminology I want to exercise and utilize to kind of like perfectly illustrate my points more often. Because otherwise I'll find myself just kind of like reeling at times, because I haven't quite put it to paper in a way, and kind of outlined in a more, tangible manner, something that kind of puts my thoughts together in a more constructive way. You know what I mean? But anyway, beyond that, the occasional weekends for sure. Like anytime we can, if ever something comes up and we're excited and we want to do it, dude.
I think weekends will
definitely,
be
I'm
more
open
the
to it.
times too that we deviate from that 10 a.m. time, because I mean I do want to be very clear with the morning dump. We're saying 10 a.m., but that's not a set thing. I've even encouraged Austin to maybe change his time, because you're over in California, and in seriousness, that could be like for longevity purpose. Say on Mondays, Tuesdays when you're running it, maybe choose a different time. It's just a matter of I like to stick to the same one. That way, we're kind of teaching our.
I like doing
kind
it
of training
early
our
as
audience. That we have a set time. They can
for
expect
sure.
it. So,
And I do like doing it early as well. It's just the occasional, who knows, if I were to get hit up like super, super late, then maybe it'll be a little bit later the next morning. But that's only occasionally. I mean, even last night, dude, what happened to Grok, man? It's not even giving 4 images anymore. It's only giving 1.
No,
and
it's
seems
weird.
like it's not.
It's done that for a while. It's done like where it would do 2 sometimes, 1 sometimes. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. It's getting quite frustrating. I mean, you got a cool one today though. I
Dude, I
mean,
know.
we got a cool
That was pretty cool.
Uncle Sam Trump. Looked pretty fucking sick.
Right.
So yeah.
I was excited. That was an older one though, so it's not this newer version of Grok. I had that one saved. I was like, I was gonna use it at some point.
You were getting frustrated with Grok, so you used an old one. Got it.
Yeah, I legit got really frustrated, and I was like, I'm gonna use that Uncle Sam Trump one because I did think it was kind of perfect and fitting as well with a lot of the bluster happening and messaging to, I mean, Greenland. We're talking military options in Greenland. I mean, like, what is not on the table at this point? You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Anyway, what was that? I had one last thing I wanted to say about the show, but
we're on the vein of Jake Shields kind of things going forward, format. So I don't know if there's anything that fits in that.
I am
that
very
you-
excited, brother. I think
Yeah, I am
this is
too.
100% the year of the schizo, my friend. Like we are. I think we're on a some. Oh yeah. But when I mentioned it to Sam, he's like, "Did I mention you guys to Jake?" And I was
Yeah,
like, "You fucking had to have said something." I feel like something happened, right?
Yeah. See, he seemed way too receptive. I mean, to be fair, though, I was
knows,
already
though?
seeing the writing on the wall just by the amount of people that were commenting initially. So it was like, that's because I even had called you beforehand. I was like, hey, man, be retweeting this shit because and be ready. So I was like, I think that's going to happen. And it did happen. So
cool,
sometimes you can just tell when it's the people are primed. Like we were the name being thrown out most by people. There were other people being thrown out, but we were the names that seemed to be thrown out the most.
And
So
once again,
but yeah.
shout out to the Anons, to the Schizo Bros, and to really the dangerous retards, honestly, as well.
Top Lots,
Right?
yeah, him and his folks, yeah,
100%.
big thing. Yeah.
Nothing but love for Top and Raven as always. So,
By the way, we got Adam Tom Bobby dropped a $10 super sticker for Austin over
brother.
on his channel. Just to remind you guys, if you do want to support the show in a donation type format like that, You can do YouTube with Austin. He's monetized. I am not. I lost that privilege a long time ago by being naughty on YouTube. But you can leave a Rumble rant for me. I do occasionally pop over to my Rumble to keep an eye on it. So I will give you a shout out if you do leave a Rumble rant, and I will read your message unless I miss it. And if that case, I am super sorry. But yeah, thanks, Adam. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, excuse me. Anyway, so today, by the way, shameless promo. I'm going to talk to Big Truth. I think it's called the Big Truth Podcast. I'll have to, but either way, he's super cool dude. Hit me up on Instagram and seems to like to dabble in the conspiracy world or realm occasionally. And so he invited me on to talk today. I think it's like 4 my time.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll discuss. He mentioned like Jack Parsons and the process as well. So
Okay, hell yeah.
yeah,
Getting
it'll
weird.
be a fun conversation.
Getting
Yeah,
real weird.
absolutely.
I see P Tracer in the chat. Says there a documentary or something coming out on Terrence-Tiki? Not that I'm aware of. There's a new book coming out by, I believe, Margaret Roberts, I believe is her name. It's called like, is it called like Blowback or something? But it's about like I mean, keep an eye. I'm sure you'll see more of it stuff coming out. We'll definitely be promoting it here soon. I think it's supposed to drop right around April 19th. So
Did you see this shit that Richard tweeted about what Tanya tweeted and then Richard like quote tweeted her yesterday about
Perhaps
the Google search results.
Yeah, I didn't look into that. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I kind of just assumed that it was maybe someone just being a boomer, but because I mean, I don't know, but maybe they're correct. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right,
if
I
I
get
see Richard Booth and Tanya Yiki being like, I think they're messing with my Google results, I kind of like, without looking into it, I am kind of like, I don't know, maybe they're just like not really great with
They
tech.
are. It's possible, but I do know they.
But maybe they're
de-rank-
great. I don't know. I just assume
Yeah.
because they're of an older generation.
Right. Google search engine, man. We all know, the intelligence connections there.
Yeah.
So obviously it is strange the deboosting and the de-ranking of like certain search results and like, yeah, it is very interesting. I don't know how. Obviously,
well, that
they
kind
have
of perfectly ties into something I do. One of the few things I want, actually one of the only things, I think it might actually really be the only thing I wanted to present today. I don't know if you had something particularly pressing you want to go into, but I thought this little morsel I thought was pretty interesting. I don't think you were on the show when we covered this recently, but I'm sure you saw about it, the Epstein stuff. I'm sure you saw the recent news about, oh, we've got all these terabytes. I even said in a different, I even said over here, when are those 6 million terabytes dropping? Obviously playing off a Holocaust joke there. But, it was Kyle Seraphin, for those who don't know, who recently went on InfoWars and was the one saying like, oh, brother, we got all these 6 million terabytes. I mean, I know we got all these people out here saying it's 300,000 tops, but I'm telling you it's 6 million. But anyways, obviously that's a joke. But point being is he came out and he's like, oh, I have super secret FBI source that's telling me that, we have all these terabytes. I forget how many. It was some crazy amount of terabytes that the FBI is processing and expect stuff to drop soon. Expect the white hats to come out and get the black hats really soon. That was what Kyle's role he was playing. He did a whole stream on InfoWars, but apparently he's been. I mean, you guys know our buddy of the show, BX. He says here, sundress lady reporting a satanic murder cult. She's probably best known, especially with this show, for her coverage of 764, which we have done alongside, or not we, but which she has done a lot alongside.
She got on recently or something. What was it? The CBC that she got on recently? I'm trying to remember that. It was more like a mainstream media coverage of her work regarding this. Yeah, I thought
you
it
might
was
be
like,
right. Maybe that's one part of the thing I'm missing, that she went big somewhere recently.
Yeah,
I think you might be right. I
might
vaguely
have
recall
heard this reaction.
something. Like because she's gotten some pretty big. I mean, she's blown up. She's almost got 40,000 followers. I think when she first went back on the show, she was
got
like, I know
a
it sounds
full segment though on this one.
Yeah,
it was impressive actually.
She's been on a lot of big shows talking about this, so I don't know. I mean, when we first started covering 764 on the show forever ago, I think she was like under 10,000. I know it sounds uncouth, but just to give an idea of like how this story is kind of blown, and this has kind of been her story. And obviously, like there's probably spots of this that maybe I could be open to saying are bullshit, but I mean 764 at the very least, like I don't know if you're someone saying it's completely bullshit, and the degree to which Kyle is going at her online, which we'll get into a little bit, it's I don't know, it's pretty safe to say 764 is that serious. I don't. It's kind of hard because it's like throughout all of this, essentially, long and short, Kyle has been kind of casting aspersions on a lot of BX's takes when it comes to 764. Now, I don't think he's ever made any sort of actual claims, as far as I'm aware, of like what she's got wrong. So I don't know specifically what he's questions about it, but apparently he's running around saying it. So I'll read this. This probably do a better job of kind of getting you guys up to date of where we are. Here's BX saying, Kyle Seraphin, who is a former FBI agent, threatened me last night in DMs. He told me that 764 is neither a serious problem, nor a terror group, nor satanic, and that I'm mentally ill for saying this. He then claimed responsibility for getting me uninvited from a podcast and threatened that he and others will continue to actively attack my platform behind the scenes. In quotes, when producers ask if anything you say has any legitimacy to it, there are a dozen people with actual credibility and reputation from working in the space that advise to pass. And you can expect that to continue. Now, this is very much saying the quiet part out loud. Let's keep going, though. Honestly, I considered not airing this out because I was in shock and scared. Why would a dozen people, presumably feds, be behind the scenes telling large platforms that I'm crazy and not to interview me? Am I in physical danger? After my morning coffee, I decided to go public with this because evil thrives in the dark. I have been face to face with the most evil people imaginable during my journey without flinching. The only power they have is that which we give them. The evil is no different, and I will not be deterred. I hope my audience reads this with as much shock and fear and confusion as I felt when it happened. There are forces beyond our perception trying to bury the story. Now, there is a screenshot of this, so that way we know we're not full of shit. I did read a quote from it earlier in that tweet, but let's read Kyle's unadulterated words right here. So obviously, bear in mind, this is just one. Well, actually, you can see right here below, you can see on here, it says you accepted the request. So I was going to say that we don't know what was said before or after. We still don't know what was said after, but we know nothing was said before because of the you accepted the request at the bottom. For anyone who knows how Twitter works, if it's somebody that you aren't mutuals with, you have to accept the request of a DM, and so you can tell that was the first message she received because she requested it by interacting with it or responding or whatever. So anyways, so this is the first message from Kyle. I mean, I guess technically there could be ones before that, but these were, at the very least, we know that like this was the first of a string of messages. She hadn't replied or done anything at that point yet. So there could have been one before that that's out of this, that's cropped out, although I doubt it. It's probably the first one. It says, "This is my olive branch. Seriously, you are wrong. You have no idea what you were talking about, and you will continue to get uninvited to interviews and skipped over because people actually do vet fringe nonsense like what you espouse. The term Don Quixote was used by a journo I correspond with. You are truly lost, and all of your silly and desperately confused followers don't change my mind a bit. I have seen what the FBI looks into for terrorism. I am old enough to remember the Satanic Panic, which was 95% made up and hoaxed. You are either confused, got played, or you are verging on mentally ill. So, question mark. I don't know if that's supposed to be some silly boomer shit. Feel free to publicly share this if it makes you feel big. Meanwhile, when producers ask if anything you say has any legitimacy to it, there are a dozen people with actual credibility and reputation from working in the space that advise to pass, and you can expect that to continue." Now, this just really stood out to me because it's just one of those saying the quiet thing out loud, and also just kind of a twisting of how things should be. Like, especially if you bear in mind how Kyle and all these, what are they called, the suspendables or something like that, is what they call themselves as like unofficial group on Twitter. These former feds, Kyle being mainly one of them, they were born out of they gained prominence from leaving around the time of the Trump running kind of deal, around the oh no, they're all the woke shit, all the all the vax stuff, like, so that around all that fucking, you know, right wing hype, they bounce and they go, oh, on principle, I left because of they were so woke, or because they made me get the poke, or what, one of those standard kind of conservative, kind of, held eye up eye type things, which, don't get me wrong, if they did that, cool, that's legit. It just is like
also a very convenient way to kind of to transcend into that level of first of all being placed onto that pedestal in the first place, right, by public perception, which is a very interesting tool of deception to begin with.
And so my whole point is, his whole thing is like kind of like, fuck the FBI. The FBI is so fucking... But I mean, it does come from this like, well, when the right-wingers get in, it'll be so much better. So it is kind of like this vibe is what these people are. But anyways, point being is like, his whole thing is like, I left the FBI because they were, they weren't, I don't know, I stand for, America, and this is no longer that. And it's like... So point being is like, you were saying FBI sucks, and so you are former FBI, but you're still trying to use this credibility as former FBI as why you're, if anything, it goes the other way. I mean, I just, the kind of what I'm really getting at, the idea that these former feds, and so especially when the context is you're leaving because you're like, oh, this is bad, and you're like, okay, cool. So you were just some dude in a shitty organization. Why should we use you being affiliated with a shitty organization to place you in any way in some hierarchical sense above anybody else, really? If anything, this should be a a scarlet letter on you, that if anything, you have to rise above it.
Exactly.
The idea that, I'm a former Fed.
An inherent advantage
exactly.
over the rest of us. Yeah,
yes. So I mean, like, I understand. Like, I do see people that see people like this, and it's part of why I've been hesitant to, Fed jack him or whatever, is because it's like, I don't know. It is also like, I've been in a situation where I was in the government, a government worker, and I was like, I hate this. And so it is like, I get like being like, I don't want to be part of this. So it is like, maybe he did do, however long he did, 8, 9, 10, whatever years. And he said, God, this is fucking awful. I mean, like, he just had a job to pay the bills. And he's like, I just couldn't do anymore. And he left. Maybe that's the case. I don't know that. So it's like, I do like to give people benefit of the doubt, but it's, I know this idea that you're going to use your credibility as a Fed to oust other people, and this is what goes on behind the scenes. I think it's just an interesting little insight into how things work. It just makes me think of my own personal situation with I don't know what degree I've really said everything. I don't really even really care to, but I know a lot of people know that I was supposed to go on Tim Pool's Culture War show with Tanya Yiki at one point. She ended up not being able to come, and it was supposed to be me, Tanya Yiki, and it was supposed to be Bert, who worked for Tim at that time. So we were supposed to go on it. I just find it interesting. I did find out through, and I don't even remember who specifically said it or what, so I'm not even trying to start this drama storm. But apparently, I believe it was Ashton Forbes who had gone on before me, and then I guess Tim was not really feeling it, which he's the guy who's like the MH370 flight, weird technology. Yeah. So it's kind of like
Malaysian airliner.
Yeah, so it's like, ooh, futuristic technology, kind of. So he was, I guess when that happened, Tim wasn't feeling it, which no shade to Ashton, but I kind of get where Tim is coming from, because it is like, the whole crux of that story is like, oh, look at this video that shows it disappeared in some portal or whatever, and you're like,
it's a portal from CERN.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't know, okay, maybe that's legit. And you're like, but it's, it's like, it also could be completely just bullshit, like some sort of CGI or something. But then it immediately becomes like, well, there's no way it could be because of X, Y, and Z bajillion nerd tech reasons, and you're like, whoa, dude, I don't fucking know. This just looks like a fucking video to me, and it could be faked. But so point being is, I understand why he then goes, you just like, I don't want to do stuff like that anymore. And then he essentially canceled my episodes, but my understanding. And so he kind of wrote that off, that similar story. So I'm assuming you probably didn't even look into it, as kind of in the same crux as that.
Wow,
of like just
I didn't realize that.
But my point being is, it's kind of like, it could have just as easily been somebody like a Kyle behind the scenes that like kind of, and I've seen him make some statements on the Oklahoma City bombing before, and he was completely wrong. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was just kind of standard takes, nothing like too crazy. So point being is like, let's say someone did go to Kyle, and who knows, maybe they go, hey, I see this guy saying all this stuff about the FBI and all the, the dirt on their face at the Oklahoma City bombing. What are your thoughts on that? He's like, I don't even remember anything. I heard they handled that really well. I don't know. I've had friends that were on that, you mean, like, you could easily, like, that could be how this game is played behind the scenes. And then these people, the Tim Pools of the world, who are going to take Kyle was former FBI. Like, they don't have the same mindset that we do. They're probably like, oh my God, that's fucking crazy. Like, it's former FBI. Same thing as like when you see Dave Smith arguing about foreign policy, then some newscaster goes, well, I don't know. I had the Secretary of Defense telling me this. And you're like, well, right. I mean, I don't know. I think Dave Smith is probably far more on. And you're like, well, that dude's the Secretary of Defense. You're like, it's kind of the same idea here. So, exactly. But anyways, I just thought this is particularly interesting. You see the way that they're working, the way they move. This is the same guy that will then, God, let me see if I can find one last thing on this that I thought was particularly interesting. Here's something Ken shared on this. He said, Kyle doesn't have time for your fringe 764 conspiracies. And then he shares this thing of Kyle sharing promoting a tweet he did with Steve Baker.
Hilarious
about
CIA
directed energy weapons.
Oh, okay, yeah. That is hilarious, dude. Oh my God, for some reason,
Which Baker's? I know what you're laughing about Baker too. Baker's another sus individuals.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah. That's why they all glow, man. It makes it's ridiculous for anybody to kind of first of all, you're exactly right as far as just like using that framework. And it's a false pretext for like this badge of credibility that, is undeserving in every way possible. Like, if you understand the credibility of the state to begin with, as well as these federal organizations that should all be abolished, right? Because all they do is prop up the most violent black markets on earth and obviously stage domestic terrorism with our taxpayer dollar, and then use the ultimate strategy of problem reaction solution to facilitate this dystopian framework, which is exactly what's taking place. And another reason why I always kind of fall back to, well, first of all, before we get away from this, BX did go on CBC's Fifth Estate. It was March 21st that I saw her post about it. And she was on a full special like segment where she did like, dude, it looked like impressive, they and it was well produced as well, so it looked like a big opportunity for her. So that makes sense why less than 10 days ago. Yeah. I mean, come on, that's just crazy to me. But anyway, so beyond sorry, and didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, I was looking at the rest of the thread she said, and I guess she was also claiming that she's saying mutuals have advised her that Kyle's DMing them to smear her, which I don't know how true it is. I will go ahead and put this out there real quick in the interest of fairness. I do generally, I have seen sometimes shit like this come from BX's corner of the world, and now I'm not saying anything bad about her. I'm just saying she is a woman, and so I do see womanly arguing a lot, and I do very much often just kind of zone it out. But every now and then there's something like, holy shit, who is she arguing with and what's going on? My point being is she does kind of get caught in this. I think to some extent it is like just kind of woman behavior to where it's like you're just kind of bringing it on yourself somewhat. Although she's generally in the right usually when I do pop my head and see what the fuck's going on. But I just wanted to throw that out there. So I'm not always embroiled in whatever thing she's arguing about. And just sometimes I just kind of get super upset when I see her and Dana like going back and forth in a negative way. I'm like, why are we doing this?
Oh, that's another thing too. I will say it is funny we see her arguing with Kyle here, and that like I'll be honest, I've even had times where I question everything. So like with somebody like a BX, even with her, like there's times she's had takes that she's a little bit more Fed friendly than I'm comfortable with. So I'm kind of like a little side-eyed, but then I have to like bring myself back to reality and go, no, you're being crazy. But it's just funny then we see this Kyle thing. But anyways, I'm rambling. I'm just saying, don't trust anyone. Always verify. Right. But in this situation, given my looking into 764, unless Kyle has some specific point that he hasn't really hashed out yet, something contention that for the most part, 764 seems to be a thing, and there's been a lot of shitty things that happen. There's been kidnappings, there's been this, there's been something like. I don't even really understand what the this is nonsense, like what the angle is. So
that seems insane to me. But that I mean, like as far as honestly, that's almost like a parallel story. If you're suggesting what I think you just might have been, not saying that that's what you believe in any sort of way, but but I think it's a very interesting point because you see what happens when spooks are throwing, blowing smoke and mirrors. They obviously you would want to pit two compromised assets against each other in some sort of manufactured theatrics, right? In some sort of way to urge public opinion in certain directions, and also provide precedent-setting operations in very many ways. And so that's a possibility. As much as I don't want to imagine that in the terms of BX, like it's still very interesting. And again, you tie that directly in with what's happening with Candace Owens and Ian Carroll and House and Habit and this Olivia Newsy story with RFK Jr., then it becomes very interesting because once again, what was it? Boltzmann Booty had mentioned. He had mentioned that same exact company that was tied to a Mossad, basically it's a Mossad construct, a front company. The very same one that Kash Patel's girlfriend, right? That Kash Patel's girlfriend was employed with, right? The
PragerU?
Mossad front. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, PragerU. Did you see me making fun of James Lindsay the other day? And like he's like, and he opened with a joke of like, ooh, fucking like she's he opened the joke that like, oh, I mean, I was told to start with a joke. I work for Israel, and then the next like, it's kind of like a haha, and the next 20 seconds is like asking for fucking money for PragerU.
Yeah. Oh fuck, man. I didn't know. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
That makes like for me, I'm scared. Like when it comes down to like, I'm very skeptical of everyone at this point. I just kind of like go with my gut and try to, I expect the worst, but and kind of hope for the best in every way, as I mentioned to you recently. But yeah, I do think we are surrounded by spooks. This is the current state of things. In PSYOP season, we declared at the very start of this year. So I mean, it's not like we should be shocked. You see the narratives being perpetuated by the Sean Ryans and the Sarah Adams of the world. This is the year of domestic terrorism, you guys. And what are we witnessing? On every single ideological end of the spectrum, it's playing out. Tesla terrorism. Oh my God. We're seeing, right, the resistance, a bunch of boomers. Like what? We're allowing the violation of certain, freedom of protest movements as well, which who knows how legitimately organic they are. But just because you oppose their ideology, doesn't mean it's not some sort of plausible pretext that's being offered up for, again, to generate consent on either side of the political aisle. Because guess what? That very same ideological opposition, they're going to embrace the moment, right, when they are eager to kind of infringe upon your rights to right to practice and exercise, let's say, freedom of speech or the right to protest, whatever it may be. I'm just saying that that's what a lot of these things seem to become, is precedent-setting operations. And so with Candace being connected to PragerU, like what? Like that's what I've been very much worried about for a while now, is that I've been keeping her at arms, basically just I've kept myself at a distance because some people, like, man, they glow, brother. It's just hard not to see it, as much as they say things that you might agree with, and you know what I mean. It's like,
well, we've talked about how the like it looks like there's we always like to talk about who controls the world type deal, and it's like I know obviously we talk about Gladio and stuff, but it's also like it's a little bit more complicated. There are societies above, and there's arguing ones. We've talked about Knights of Malta. It's like this whole Jew world order stuff that people talk about. It's like, I don't know. I don't think it's that simple. I think there's a little bit more to it than that. And it is like, if you're looking at it from that perspective, I mean, obviously it's a very simplistic way to look at it, but if you're looking like, Jew world order versus, like Catholic, whatever supremacy fucking, entity or whatever, if you're looking at like a new entity taking over or, kind of cementing its place so far as like the Malta types, it's like, I don't know, if you see like a Candace breaking off from Daily Wire, some of the stuff that's come out about Daily Wire, some of the, like, it does seem like they're turning on them without like a complete turn. It's like a sustained burn. It's like kind of like a controlled burn. It's not just like everything all at once. You see, Candace still being friendly with some of the individuals that, the Walshes or even the Kirks, the ones that are probably in a position that where they can pivot, later. She's still friendly with them. So I don't know. I mean, there might be something. There might be something to that. Yeah.
Her transcendence, like into the alternative media landscape, it raised eyebrows for me personally, red flags all over the place. If only you look at Jordan Peterson, you see these people, right, who went under that umbrella.
Real quick, before we move off of Candace, isn't her husband like royalty or some shit?
Yeah, what? I forget. He's a Jew, isn't he, too? Which is hilarious. I thought it was
maybe. I don't know.
I can't remember.
I know he's royalty. I know his dad is super like Zionist because I know it was a big deal recently that like
right.
There was like stuff about your father-in-law is disagrees with you, and they're like, yeah, okay, we disagree, so what? But people made a big deal out of that. So yeah, I just was kind of pointing out like the royalty Knights of Malta, like being like we're seeing.
Oh, yeah.
And we seeing some patterns.
Absolutely, so, man. Yeah, and but again, I also am like, I was talking about it, Brad kind of brought it up as well. Like, but as far as the last night on whatever this is, Brad Binkley mentioned the fact that Ian Carroll and Candace Owens are coming together to kind of perpetuate this very similar narrative, obviously, but they're merging in this promotional way as well, right? They're about to, collaborate on a new episode, and this is going to do huge numbers, brother. I'll tell you that much. And it's going to move culture in certain ways, as far as in this very moment of the media cycle. So many people will be plugged into that conversation, whether they agree with them or not. And what is that? I'm not saying that it can't be organic, but dude, it's very fucking weird and strange, and also the timing of it. And Ian Carroll attempting to, man, again, I'm not certain of anything for the most part, but with Ian, I am so skeptical of this guy, and I don't mean to come off in any sort of way like.
But on the positive, he's finally coming around on RFK. So
what is that, man? Like, it's just like, what are we talking about?
Yeah,
I mean, Dave Smith crucified his ass over a year ago.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It was amazing, and really, like, once you realize Schneerson and all the insane connections of besides Rabbi Shmuley, like, being some sort of key factor in this Mossad honeypot operation of, like, at least being an introductory a facet of, like, introducing these prominent individuals to their compromised honeypot assets. Like, it is very strange because you look at all the pictures of Shmuley, man, with these prominent political
God, yeah.
It's absurd, right? And you just have to imagine, especially apparently there's this connection with Olivia Nuzzi to Shmuley. And by the way, I didn't realize the timing of Olivia Nuzzi joining Anthony Weiner's campaign the same month he had his sexting scandal and his campaign collapsed. Yes. And so for me, it seems like this is some sort of contrived honeypot operation. At the very least, it can be, that is the implication.
She's the controlled demolition operative. That's what it sounds like. They're like, oh shit, someone's overstepping, someone's, whatever, I don't know if they think they're too much of a real boy or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it is weird. I mean, I don't even remember the specifics here. I mean, maybe you can enlighten us. Because my summation, I did watch. There was a Candace Owens videos that came out on this yesterday, and I did watch this, or maybe it was the day before. So I did kind of. I mean, I forget exactly. Obviously, I kind of get the woman mad. Woman goes after woman. I think it was something to do with like they were supposed to write a hit piece and they ended up not writing the hit piece or something. And then there's question about who acts the hit piece. And then Candace Owen got into it. And then anyways, and then that's kind of when we get into the ins and outs on like who is doing what. And then she found connections to this one broad who was trying to smear her to
Jessica
RFK.
Krause, right?
Yeah.
The
And like,
House
I guess they had a, one of them, I guess, had some sort of like sexting, thing with RFK recently. And that's who this broad is. Yeah.
Yeah, you can trace that back. There's a so by the way,
her license plate's RFK 669922.
I know, right?
It's like, what the
I
fuck,
saw that,
dude?
but what the fuck is that? Why would you even do that? That is so crazy.
I mean, it's
You know
like
what I'm
it's one sequence away from haha, I suck RFK's dick.
Yeah. And I mean, they've been spotted like going on hikes, and like this has all been reported for over, for like 2 years at least, like for quite some time.
Pussy's a powerful drug, dude.
Yeah. And by the way, I think it was earlier this month, like a couple weeks back. It was Olivia Nuzzi spotted with Jessica Reed Krause at Mousson Frank's, the restaurant in LA. And so it's like they're leveraging these stories in the alternative media landscape to their benefit, and kind of they're dealing in the dirt, obviously, right, of this political blackmail as far as the sexual blackmail is concerned. So I think a lot of it was of course this sexting scandal that which you look back at this, and apparently she accuses her ex-fiance of orchestrating this blackmail campaign after RFK Jr. relationship revelations. And this was from The Independent in October of 2024. And you basically just have her accusing Ryan Lizza, this her ex-fiance, of orchestrating a blackmail campaign against her. And so you kind of like would imagine that's how these people operate, right? They just kind of levy the same allegations against that they're actually guilty of against the people who knows how legitimate that relationship was in the first place, because a lot of these honeypot operations and black swans and various assets that operate within that framework of sexual blackmail, I mean they are in arranged relationships, and it's usually all based on political prowess and what can you do for me, and which doors can you open on my behalf.
Did you little side tangent, but I find that people hear us talk about that and they're probably like, what the fuck? But did you see a while back there was that Taylor Swift who's that dude she's dating that was like the football guy, the Kelsey.
Travis Kelsey.
Did you see the leaks that like supposedly that they were like a fake relationship, and that apparently
dude.
It's the same idea. And it's like if celebrities. Oh, did we? Okay, yeah. Well, like
sure.
It was a while ago. It just made me think of. It was like, hey, celebrities are doing this, and you're like,
Exactly.
why wouldn't the elite do it? Wouldn't that make sense? Like I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so anyway, there's so much more, because apparently there's even this was what this dude, the ex-fiance, he alleges in a court filing that RFK Jr. wanted to possess and impregnate journalist Olivia Nuzzi. This was in October of 2024. That same exact time, there's this court filing of this dude, and this is
no, it only costs you your soul,
right? And so yeah, this personal relationship with RFK Jr. Apparently, she interviewed him for a profile in last November. That was 2023. And Nuzzi later claimed that Lizza harassed and blackmailed her before allegedly leaking her and Kennedy's alleged relationship in an attempt, she claims, to get her back. So this to me is how you kind of, it would make sense that it would be an arranged relationship. They're fiancés at the time, so there's not really any sort of legal obligation to remain together. And then the rollout of this story, and this, as far as just, this story being revealed to the public, it seems like it's being revealed in this way where she's the victim, of Blackmail herself, right? But
Yeah.
yet that is what reveals the actual relationship between her and RFK Jr., which is hilarious to me, and it's how you get away with I think the hangout itself, the
Yeah.
dangle in itself, and still get away with your credibility intact in certain ways.
I want to know what role she played, if any, in the Wiener scandal. Like, if she leaked any
She has.
info or anything, like, because
Dude,
I was
the
saying like
timing alone is
Yeah.
super, suspect.
Because I was just thinking controlled demo, and you're like, you think about Wiener, it's like, what did he? I think both times he got busted for dick pics to like some 16, 17-year-old, some odd chick type deal, like something along those lines. So it is like, I mean, obviously, the lore that comes with the Wiener laptop is like, that's where like you get things
Carlos
like frazzle
Danger,
drip.
man. Don't
That's
you
where you get
remember?
all the dead cops that supposedly saw it and all that. So you're like,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you're like, oh, and then what he ended up getting got for was, he sent a dick pic to a kid. And my point is, so obviously, you're making the demonstration here of like, was this a controlled demolition? And if you look at an RFK type, you're like, if let's say the powers that be are like, yo, this dude's either getting too close to this or he's getting too close to getting burned. Like, let's be real, this guy has obviously been like compromised from the jump. Like, that was the whole joke. I did like almost 5,000 likes on a fucking tweet that was like sarcastically making fun of fucking Ian Carroll. Yeah, everyone is like, yeah, dude, this dude was clearly fucking like, it's retarded that we're like, oh my god, is he being blackmailed? You're like, yeah, he's been blackmailed from the jump. And it's like, what dark shit is this guy doing? Because it's not you see the way he behaves in relation to Israel, and you're like, yo, dude, I struggle to believe it was. I don't believe he's on tape banging a 16-year-old girl that's questionably of age looks. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think that's the case. I think it's some dark shit. So like,
makes sense. I mean, by the way, did he really? I saw Jake Shields actually tweeted about. What was it? He said RFK Jr. I didn't realize this story had had potentially dug up his wife that had killed herself, that had hung herself. I didn't know this story.
Moved her without a permit, which I guess that's the issue here. I mean, other than this, why the fuck are you moving your wife?
The funniest fucking thing of all time, to be honest. Like, beyond the fact that, like, I don't know, everything about him, he's obviously on TRT or HGH or something, and his libido is off the charts. I mean, this dude is, he's just, but by the way, I found this very interesting that, Lisa Peace, her take on this, which she's very much like, and I don't mean anything.
I think she thinks he just genuinely sucks.
Attack. Yeah. And it's no personal attack on her. It's just like occasionally she has these very leftist milquetoast opinions and that I very much disagree with. So who knows how legitimate this is, but I try and take people's just as far as people who actually know these individuals on a personal level as much as I can. I try and see if there's any sort of credibility to their opinion in regard to these people like an RFK Jr. and Lisa Peace. I think at the very least she seems to have honest and pure intentions. You know what I mean? And like essentially like in her investigative practices, like in my mind, and her work on the RFK assassination alone is one of the most, it's a very valuable piece of work, and everyone should go check it out. But
Bugfight says, I don't understand why you even tried if you have skeletons like that. It's a good point, but on the flip side, it's also like that might be why you tried, because he has skeletons like that. You're like, yo, dog, guess who's running this year? Like, I don't want to run. Guess who's running?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're gonna fix your fucking voice too. Like, honestly,
I don't want to fix my voice.
100%, dude. But it's like when you know that the Kennedys have been really kind of, in my mind, they've been used as tools for manipulating the public for a long time. They've been this long-standing political tool in many ways, just to kind of urge people to support different political individuals or entities on the in DC for elections. But it's strange to me that that at least you have to imagine. By the way, of course, you have the Abedin connection when it boils down to, the Anthony Weiner dude, she was an intern, Olivia Nuzzi, for Anthony Weiner, and she rose to really. It was a lot of these Zionist publications, which she was directly involved with, and in her like media rise, which again, it was like Bloomberg was one of the main entities that helped her achieve some sort of significance. But you have that connection with this Jessica Krause, who seems to have been like a sort of influential blogger. I mean, like what?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then
Some
she
sort of
gets
blogger,
and then she
Substack,
gets
something
tapped
or other.
to gain access to the White House media room, which is very interesting. Yet she's swimming in these in these circles of what seems to be some sort of honeypot operation tied to Mossad. I mean, so I don't know how you keep an asset in line, but again, Rabbi Shmuley coming up everywhere you look, and this guy has the
Fucking
connection.
Tulsi, fucking
Yeah, dude. By
yeah.
the way, Jeffrey Goldberg, I think that was the name of the journalist, right? Who was attributed with the leaks, the signal leaks,
Yeah.
and yeah. Well, he just so happens to hold dual citizenship to Israel, and also
Yeah, he was former
happens to be
IDF.
yeah, and a personal friend of Rabbi Shmuley. It's just like, what's
Checks
happening
out.
here, man?
Yeah.
How much is political theater?
Nation under Shmuley.
One nation under Rabbi Shmuley, dude.
One nation under Shmuley.
That's too good. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine that this take is accurate, because it does seem so obvious that you can't have that much of a blind spot for Israel. Like, it's just and not be some sort of compromise, unless I guess you are a true believer. But how can you again
It's not
point
believable.
to? No, it's not. Again, we point to the Dave Smith crucifixion, basically, of RFK Jr. over a year ago, where he points out the fact that how can you interpret so
Yeah.
accurately the proxy conflict in Ukraine, but yet you have this inability to process the reality in Gaza. Like, it makes
And there's no particular reason why they would be such ardent Zionists either. It's not even like you're Jewish. I mean, is Cheryl Hines Jewish and I don't know it? Like, there's no like, what is? He is a Kennedy. He's from an Irish family. He's like, there's no like the idea that they like. There's sometimes you can be like, oh, okay, it's because they're Jewish, and it's like, whatever, they've just been raised that way, and they've heard the propaganda their whole life, and blah blah blah. Like, dude, you're a Kennedy. You've looked into this shit extensively. You're amazing on other issues. Like, your shit. Like, it's just gaslighting, really, for anyone. It's either gaslighting or stupidity, really, in my opinion, to try to act like he isn't blackmailed in some sense. Like, it's just that, like, you just must not have that well of a grip on these issues, because if you knew where he stands on things and then know his stance on Israel, it just does not match up. Like, the greatest example was when he was amazing on Ukraine and Russia, like, knew every little bit of it. And it's like, dude, this is a perfect example, because it's the same thing. They were running with the same narrative control, the same, like, they were acting like, like history started the day that Russia fucking invaded.
Yeah.
It's a similar type of thing too, because with the Russia-Ukraine thing, you do have the invasion, you have October 7th, and the other one. So it is like, or you can do you can play hide the ball with, we act like nothing ever happened. So point being is, he was perfect on that, all the same fucking things, and then somehow just 180 degrees on the opposite for no fucking reason, gives no real argument. If you watch the debate with him and Dave Smith, it was what it basically was. There's nothing throughout all of that really gives any sort of meaningful pushback. He does give some of these standard boilerplate, Hasbro talking points, is what he would give, but he would never really give any meaningful. And then a few times he clearly was just flustered and would just move on past it.
In that Dave Smith confrontation, right? His soul drained from his body. Like, it was so sad to witness. Honestly, it was like, it was undeniable. Like, it felt like it was impossible to come away from that with any other conclusion, right? And I saw Daniel W. said a Palestinian supposedly shot his old man. Yeah, man, Sirhan. You look into that, and it's far more. Obviously, he has ties to the Rosicrucian Order and the mob that ran the horse track that he worked at as well during the time that he was being hypnotized and put into these hypnotic trances and at the shooting range during his practice. And so yeah, but anyway, there's so much
real
more
quick.
to that.
Someone said a Palestinian supposedly
I
shot.
literally just addressed that.
Okay, I stepped away
Yeah,
for a
that's what I was
second.
addressing.
Okay,
No,
all
you're
right,
good,
all
you're
right,
good.
all right, right, right.
But what I was
All right.
addressing.
Did you point out that's not his actual take though? Because like
Yeah.
that is what a lot of people point out. But you're like, yeah, but like that's not. If you actually know RFK's
dude.
take, that doesn't match up either.
He is calling for Sirhan to be released.
Yep.
Because he believes he's innocent and that he was put into a hypnotic trance and that legitimately, it was he named who was responsible for his father's death was Thane Eugene Cesar, the individual who was moonlighting as a security guard at the Ambassador Hotel, and that Sirhan, and of course, according to Lisa Peace, and I believe her, I think her theory is very accurate on this, is that Sirhan was firing blanks in the pantry that night, and that because he was firing in the exact direction that the killer was, point blank range behind RFK, right, and so it's very interesting. And of course, if you know Thane Eugene Cesar and how he ties directly back to the Howard Hughes organization that was being tasked with a lot of these black budget ops at the time by the administration in their facilitation of tying off all the loose ends of that civil rights era, essentially. That's and again, a lot of it was tied back to the Jewish mob once more, and a lot of these special interest organizations tied to organized crime, which all were perfectly hand in hand in line with the intelligence apparatus moving forward with this dystopian agenda. And it was really about, again, what do we know about government? Largest faction of organized crime on the world stage is what the role of government truly is. And when you point back to, Sirhan was a Palestinian, yeah, guess what? How did that not become the most convenient tool to trot out as the plausible narrative in the official line for the reason behind his motivations for targeting RFK? They claimed it was because he was Palestinian and that RFK had signed off on sending bombers to Israel, which was true. RFK had done that. And so it's very, very strange when you tie that in with, of course, the age-old picture of RFK Jr. At that event with his late dead wife who discovered his perverted sex diary and hung herself allegedly.
Have you heard anything in the way of I've seen people, have you heard anything in like what exactly the claims are that because I'm hearing a lot of influencers running around saying there is blackmail and it's going to get released, there's blackmail. But I mean, like on RFK,
right,
but like they're saying it in such a way as if it's like it's about to be dropped or something.
Yeah, if anything, what are they talking about? Pictures, his dick. I mean, what are we talking about? The dick.
That's what I'm saying. But then you hear people talk about it, like in that post that I shared as like kind of the visual aid with which is me quote tweeting Aunt Carol. In that he's kind of implying that like, it's out there and it's going to drop, and it really is like it feels like they're implying that it's something
to do
pretty fucked
Israel?
Up. Like no, they're implying it's something with Israel, but like the implication is that like it feels like they're implying it's really bad, like that it's more than just like as I imply, like here's some 16-year-old that maybe he thought was 18. So I mean, who knows?
This is the climax of what we're gonna get out of
That's
this.
my implication. Like this is part of the story. Like who would have known it was RFK in their midst? And like, are they really gonna throw him to the wolves like that? Like, is he gonna be the one that they like manage or try to let off some of the Epstein steam with or something? They're like, look, we gave you one. You can't say that we didn't. I mean, I don't think they're gonna go that far. That'd be nuts. But I'm just like, I don't know, because as I said earlier, it's kind of like narrative control with this, or like kind of like a controlled demolition with this broad that kind of comes in. But it's like, I don't know, maybe this one's just a full on, it is a control, but they're just going hard with it, like, because we gotta let off some steam. You gotta give them something. I don't know. I'm thinking outside the box, but I also feel like it'd be wild for them to betray someone like that to such a degree that's been such a good little player for them. Unless there's something behind the scenes we don't know of. Or or they're just
Well,
that desperate. I don't know.
How much could big pharma pay various investigative journalists or alternative media assets to potentially run a smear campaign and character assassinate an individual who is actually attempting to facilitate some policies that are positive? And at least I do believe many of the healthcare policies are dystopian in nature as far as what they will truly end up facilitating and inevitably. But I do also think that, like, I don't know, maybe removing advertisements for big pharma on just as far as
Can we take a moment to reflect on what RFK has given us so far too, and the narratives we got from people? Because I mean, as we've seen, as we're talking about right now, RFK's blackmail, but we've talked about this for a while, and this has been kind of a known thing, and like there's been a lot of people who would address it. It's only really now that it seems like we're addressing the elephant in the room. They would address it before, but it would always be like, this guy's, well, don't worry about that. He's health. He's HHS. He's health and human whatever the fuck. Like nothing to do with Israel. Like don't worry about it. Like no.
Roseanne.
It
was the Muslim brother.
Exactly, but it's like
Roseanne.
It's
why?
Like like he's it just. I don't know. It seems ridiculous to me. Like it seems. I don't know. I totally lost my. He threw off my train.
My bad. Bro.
You're good. What the fuck was I saying though? What was I? Oh, but no. What I was getting at is, and he's pushed through. You've seen he's actually pushed through anti-Semitism fucking things in HHS. Yeah. So it's like
right.
And so now we have these Ian Carrolls of the world that are going, oh, guys, I think he might be fucking blackmailed. So
right.
it is also like, I don't know, is he running some sort of narrative control? Like, oh, shit, now I look really stupid. I was hoping that, like, if I just was like, oh, don't worry about that, he's doing HHS, that, like, yeah, he's doing HHS. He's like, what's the issue here? Like, oh, I'll get my health stuff because I'm some fucking lefty. So it is like, even from a, like, give him the benefit of the doubt, it is like, it can almost see that we're like, this could be a natural, like, shit, I was wrong. Like now it's like, okay, I guess we're walking it back and we're actually going after it. Because this is, Ian Carroll is, a lot of people do point to him being controlled op or something. I do think it could just be natural organic incentives and him being someone who is caught up still somewhat in the mind virus of, we'll get him next time, the whole game of politics. Like he does seem to be caught up in the game of politics. So I think that might be kind of where you naturally, like, it may not be this thing he's doing consciously and intentionally and being like, oh, I'm going to run cover for this guy, or I'm not going to cover this as much, or now I'll cover this, and whereas I wasn't before. But it's just like natural incentives come into play, and it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just a matter of like, oh, this guy is pushing through all these anti-Semitism stuff. He is bullshit. Everything I said about him's kind of been wrong so far. I've accidentally ushered my audience into thinking this guy's awesome and he's going to take away all the big bad pokey pokes and all that stuff. And instead, all we're getting is Jew laws.
Right. I know that to me, man, it seems like some sort of like he does. Obviously, I'm very skeptical of Ian, if only because it's like I hope for the best, as I say, but I don't know, man. I don't believe in coincidence anymore, and it's very difficult for me to see how he almost seems to be leveraged for damage control in many ways, and it's like, okay, we've ran our limit in the sort of that inherent dismissal and blind spot that we talk about, the Israel exception. We're going to have to address this. Cue Ian Carroll, cue Candace Owens. How are we going to pivot in as far as that aspect of the ideology who support Trump, right? Which very much do fall in line with a lot of the Candace Owen types and the Ian Carrolls of the world. They do seem to be kind of propping up this generating a lot of this media hype surrounding the support of the Trump administration as well, right? And so it's like, to me, it feels like gatekeeping in many ways. And I don't know, it's this evidence has been out there for as far as like actual potential blackmail
kind of
for
the theme,
RFK
huh? Gatekeeping, huh?
Yeah, for so long that It's like, I don't know, man. It's impossible for me to imagine that they're just now coming to this information or being exposed to this information. That's absurd to me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're swimming in these circles with these individuals, and you allegedly, admit to understanding how these networks of compromise, human
Now to give
compromise.
Bobby a little bit of backup, or not Bobby, Ian, a little bit of backup. In the videos, I did watch, I think, the full 10-minute thing. He never once was like, it feels like the narrative is like, oh my God, he's blackmail. But really, what he's saying in these videos is, there's blackmail that's going to be released. So he's never really saying that, like, oh, I didn't think there was or could have been before, or that he was loyal to Israel. So it is like you can kind of, you can kind of have his back. It's like, I don't know, but it doesn't feel like you were going too hard on it before today. You know what I mean?
So
It's
here
like,
we are.
Yeah.
We're at odds, where it comes down to all of this significant infighting in this very alternative media landscape that we're discussing. None of us can agree on anything, man. I just mentioned this last night on whatever this is. We're all kind of, we can't assess properly the smoke in mirrors and the deception being deliberately, employed to again. I think a part of this, as far as like a part of the strategy of success, would be to cause this kind of destabilization within this very landscape, where we would find ourselves at a crossroads, unable to agree on the current paradigm that we exist in, and therefore how can we even have some sort of just as far as worthwhile conversation that leads to a viable solution of any kind that could lead us out of this kind of dystopian framework of information warfare, which is really what it is. And my favorite thing about Alex Jones over the years was the prison planet, and the as far as just information warfare, I think is just one of the best concepts of all time. But to that point, you have to listen to like at least 2 minutes of this, because this will blow your mind, dude. Like it just as far as, look at how the shift in perspective and how much this ties into the conversation we're having, as far as these very much these compromised assets that do seem to be creating these misconceptions and false narratives. And witness the shift in his perspective over the course of the years. And now you see that the very thing that he used to believe in and scream from the rooftops, he now targets and character assassinates individuals who share that very same perspective. So these things, they make me even more skeptical. I already didn't trust Alex after I felt like he was compromised fully during the, obviously, I think that Sandy Hook became the third rail in many ways, and the taboo subject that you can never kind of, it just, again, when you see the show trial, yeah, exactly. The show trial alone was just like, what is this other than a precedent-setting operation of some kind? But yeah, check this out, because it does tie in perfectly to, one, the narrative behind Ian Carroll and Candace at this moment, and two, the hypocrisy within the very landscape we're discussing as well, and the inability for people to assess the fact that I understand changing your fucking mind and perspective, but not entirely, restructuring your core moral values. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know it, and how you interpret the world stage and power in general.
But at the same time, I'm a USA First guy and a
Can you
Second
hear it?
Amendment guy. No, and a First Amendment guy. I mean, that comes first for me, and I just got to say it. I mean, it was one thing with the last administration, and I was hoping it was a fluke and was stop. But I mean, come on, folks. Every key person in the Bush administration and now in this next administration just so happen to be the sons and daughters of the founders of Israel and Mossad chiefs and people, and they're openly not even really U.S. citizens, and they openly are at the head of the table in anti-gun operations in the U.S. And I'm sick of it. I mean, Rahm Emanuel's been in the Israeli military. He gets up on news and says he's Israel first. And I've had enough of it. I mean, I am really getting sick of it. I am really getting tired of it. Now, I'm against Schwarzenegger being a foreigner. And he's over here anti-gun, and he also wants all these carbon taxes and the rest of it. So, it's the same thing. I'm sick of it. But we don't have, Austrians in every major power position. British intel's deeply infiltrated and got their people everywhere too, and that's bad. But I'm not going to. It's one thing to have powerful elements of the Israeli lobby all over the Bush administration, and to have them being, some of the most energetic cheerleaders for the Patriot Act and torture and police state measures and warrantless spying. And that's bad. But to now have Rahm Emanuel, whose father was one of the head terrorists that founded Israel, and Rahm Emanuel himself is in the Israeli military, Israeli intelligence, dual citizen. I mean, I'd be against having the chief of staff be British and openly have worked for the British government. I would be against our.
So basically, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just absurd to me that
He's been calling for any sort of First Amendment things that I'm aware of, or just mean that he's been more of a cheerleader. I didn't know if there's something specific.
No, he
here.
just obviously he's entirely behind, the Zionist agenda in my mind at this moment, and he's been one of the most energetic cheerleaders of the Zionist project in this modern at least the.
Has he though? I don't really pay attention enough, but there's definitely been multiple times where I've seen him make some statements. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really. I don't follow him enough, but I do think he does sometimes. Maybe it's only occasionally. I mean, I'm not definitely not saying by any means that I think Alex positions himself as some crazy anti-Zionist voice, but so far as being I don't know, he's definitely made statements throughout this whole ordeal since October 7th.
Do you remember
about
how
things
long
they've done?
It was very, very strange how long it took for him to even address it, and that alone was like a huge, pivotal. We addressed it on the show. What a pivotal turning point that was! Oh my God! Even Alex Jones said something about it. So
it's true.
I
don't follow him enough to really have a good grasp on how bad he's. I mean, I assume my gut reaction is that he is probably, but I do think he has definitely a few times. As of late, so it is kind of like it's hard to say because I mean he's had Ian Carroll on his show too. He's open to, I mean I think Owen Schroyer has been pretty vocal about anti-Israel stuff. So like he's employs people and he talks about a lot. But I mean don't get me wrong, I think he probably falls on the Zio side of things if we're going to make it a binary. But I don't know to what extent he's really some crazy Zionist. I mean, but he does seem like he does play into the InfoWars thing, though. So I have no idea. So I guess he said he came out debunking the RFK stuff. That's that too. That is true. I didn't watch those videos, but there were some videos. I assumed it was just going to be like, okay, guys, well, let's wait till we see what comes out. Right now, we don't have anything. Like, I mean, and if that's the case, to be fair, that's actually kind of fair too, because we don't know to what extent this is just like I mean, for one, it's like I kind of want to either do it or don't. Like, are we dropping this blackmail? Are we burning this guy? I'm all for it. I say burn him. Yeah. Like I don't give a shit. So, but it's just kind of like it does seem like this also could easily just be like, oh, there's stuff out there and it's super bad, and then it's not really that bad, and then it's just like he fucked a 17-year-old, and then it's like, oh my God, it's awful. Then he has to resign in disgrace, and it's like, yeah, okay, but you got some like rich and famous guy on the hook for banging a 17-year-old he thought was an adult. Okay, creepy, but like, obviously not the deep, dark fucking shit we suspect these guys are doing. You know what I mean? Right. So I don't know. I have no idea how this plays out, but I have a feeling people should keep an eye out on this because I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being a big part of the next act of whatever the theater we're being presented to.
Yeah. I've been under the impression for the longest time that Alex was compromised somehow, some way, at some point. I don't know exactly when, but it definitely happened because his messaging entirely changed. And look, man, I get, who knows? I can understand having a shift in perspective and learning new things and being exposed to new information. But, obviously remain open-minded. But
Mhm.
to have that much of a shift in your kind of assessment of the power
I did
dynamics.
forget, and you are right, somnambulism schism. I do believe he's admitted his family
Oh
was
yeah.
CIA. So I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
a lot of people in the media landscape have that same sort of connection and pattern as far as they have family ties to intelligence. But but yeah, I think that just Bobby alone, listed in Epstein's Black Book, recorded 8 phone numbers and 2 addresses, right? And under his name, and yeah, so I think that that obviously something was happening in regard to his like just his affiliation with the Epstein network on the flight logs alone, and then obviously his perverted sex diary, secret journal of affairs that at least like up to 37 women, I think, talked about his lust demons, right? With this was something he had to grapple with, what he called his biggest defect, which it makes sense, obviously. Who the hell doesn't know that for the past, 30 years, basically? And yeah, so he kept a scorecard of more than 24 conquests, sexual conquests. And this was apparently a thick red journal found in the home by his wife, Mary Richardson Kennedy, who was distraught over their impending divorce and Kennedy's serial philandering, and then committed suicide. And again, like by hanging, which statistically very strange. Women don't typically, commit suicide in that fashion. It's so it does, in my mind, raise eyebrows and always has, and the reason why, obviously, I think he has such a significant blind spot for, Israeli policy, but
Mhm.
the reason why he would be strategically put into place in this current administration, as well as being like I mentioned before, what was the goal at Davos? The named goal was we have to,
Reestablish trust.
exactly
Mm.
reestablish public trust. And so, what do? We task this individual, a Kennedy of all
Mhm.
people,
Who then
with
gets busted for banging a teenager.
hey,
What a perfect person to fit that narrative.
100%.
Into a way to take some of the steam out of your Epstein narrative. He got his back rubbed at Epstein's Island, but he didn't have his underwear on this time around. He didn't get the, I guess, fucking old Dersh didn't pass on the word to keep his undies on. So that's what the more we talk about, the more I am like, shit, man, that's perfect. That's perfect theater right there. A Kennedy, of all people, gets busted for banging a teenager. Now we get to, he has to leave in disgrace. It's probably well past the
And what does that do?
the limited statutations or whatever. So
Right, statute of
the
limitations.
statute of
Yeah.
limitations. So it's like, no harm, no foul. Oh no, Bobby banged a fucking 17-year-old back in his 30s or something. You know what I mean? Like, like that's how this is gonna. That could easily be how this all plays out. And you're like, see, we even went all the way down to a member of our cabinet, and we dealt with it. We saw Epstein's influence in our very own midst, and we took care of it.
Right.
We got rid of it, and it's kind of bearing in mind who he's been blackmailed by from day one. Clearly, I don't know who needs a W in this area without actually giving up anything whatsoever, aside from maybe getting rid of somebody that, if anything, might be a little bit pesky to them.
And what else would that do in regard to his credibility? The implication there would almost be inherently undermining any of his perspective. So even when he was right and accurate on the best of things, like, Anthony Fauci and the vaccine agenda, right? Like, even when he was, although that is obviously not playing out, you saw how he instantly was kind of shilling for the MMR vaccine, which he directly, acknowledged as being a potential cause of autism in young boys specifically at a higher rate. But yeah, it's very strange because anyway, it's just like, I don't know. You see how, in my mind, they would obviously utilize him as first of all, like I had mentioned before, the idea, well, what would that do to, the idea of Fauci's guilt as well, because his book alone did a lot to kind of confirm, a lot of Fauci's most evil deeds in criminal history as far as what he has been tied to. I mean, Jesus, dude, the mass graves of children and stuff that were basically used for medical trials. And
bear in mind that Fauci and others in a similar situation are essentially in a legal political limbo right now when it comes to speaking their piece on their crimes, because technically speaking, they were pardoned by the previous administration, so they theoretically should be able to say whatever and not have to worry about any legal repercussions. But on the flip side, they're also dealing with the current administration who claims that that's null and void without actually going through any actual sort of legitimate legal system to determine that to be the case. So essentially, I've put them on notice that, hey, we could prosecute you at any time. So now they're in this weird situation where they legally, technically could say anything, but in a certain sense, not really, because then the legal system might completely invert and go after them at that point. So, and now, ta-da, just kidding, you actually can be gone after. So point being is they're kind of this magical little legal limbo where now they've been perfectly little sealed off to where they can't say a damn thing. And now it keeps on moving. Someone mentioned something about the JC, actually. The new narrative network has been successful in a big way when it comes to reestablishing trust with the American right. Yeah, this is where you get all the most transparent administration there ever has been. I just wanted to take a moment to say this is the time to... We are at an inflection point. This is the time to keep an eye on people who fill the roles that me and Austin fill and choose accordingly. I'm not saying don't follow Ian Carroll's. I mean, yeah, I get it. They're big. They have, they're able to, they have higher production value. They probably get different guests, whatever.
According to my sources.
Yeah, exactly. But the point being is you should also keep an eye on him and also have other people too. Don't put too much stock in it because it's these people that may lead you astray. Who knows? He could be completely legit. Maybe he's just kind of opening his eyes and realizing, oh shit, maybe this is his awakening from not believing into this political stuff. Maybe this is his black pilling, as everyone says. Although I think it's the gray pill, as we have our buddy Jules. It's the gray pill and just kind of being clear-minded, and that like this whole stupid like, oh, black pilled, white pilled. You're like, no, like just understand what's going on, and then like, hey, if you want to play this political game where you pull a lever and go, I'm helping. You're like, no, not really, you aren't, and you're getting yourself caught up in this game and appointing heroes that are inevitably going to probably let you down. So,
yeah, and man, obviously the term black pill, I think is
just stupid.
It's basically being.
So you're telling me a piece of information I don't want to hear? Yeah. That sounds really blackpilling to me.
Conspiracy theorist, man. Like it truly is. It's the new term that's being utilized to effectively, undermine, right, any sort of objective truth seeking that doesn't fall within, right, that partisan delusion that has been very well established and well constructed over the course of generations to deceive us, right? And so I just think that understanding,
I want to address this real quick. JB saying that these people these people being blackmailed have to have done way worse than just banging a 17-year-old, right? Can't imagine being a Shmuley cuck for something so minor. Yes, you're missing my point. What I'm saying is that would be the end result. That's like, yes, they have done worse, but that I'm implying that like there's a fix-in, it's a controlled narrative demolition. It's we've got to give them something. Oh, let's give him a Kennedy banging a 17-year-old against his, and he supposedly didn't know or whatever. Point being is you give them something, you give them, especially, we even talked about on one of the times we went on Tinfoil Hat a while back about how it's always framed as like, oh, this is about pederasts. This is about rich men who want to bang teenagers. This is what this is. But no, there's dark shit that goes on here that I think people ignore and they just like to focus on. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still bad. You still shouldn't be an adult banging 17-year-olds, but it's a very different thing than when they're like, it's like we're talking like 10, 11, 12. Like it's a very different thing, and it's like obviously it takes away this idea of like, oh, they just got tricked. Oh, they got tricked because it's like, oh, I thought she was an adult. Like, no, you didn't. Like that's a fucking 12-year-old dude. So. So, but no, I think they've done worse. I think that's just that. My point being is that would be their out to kind of deal with that problem. Theater.
Dude, I mean, definitely that's plausible. I'm just so like it to me, RFK Jr. Man, like if anything actually damning came out, it would have to do with, I would imagine, some sort of like, why would he move his wife's body? And the strange circumstances surrounding her death alone are like very that to me, that is nothing I would ever expect to come out.
Yeah, I want to know what secret societies he might be part of. That's what I want to know. Yeah, he's like, what were we talking about? Rosicrucianists and what they're required to do to dead bodies.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Yeah. That goes back to Skull and Bones, and that he was a part of some sort of fraternity, and these old boy network fraternities, they're different, man. They're very much in league with secret societies and operate under that zeitgeist of ideology, and it's just like, anyway, the point I was trying to make about the black pill being the new conspiracy theorist, I mean, it does remind me of basically that FOIA request that was exposed in '67 that was called Countering Criticism of the Warren Report. And this is when you had these clear concerns as well as recommended actions in order to discredit the critics of the official report's findings in regard to the Kennedy assassination. In this memo, they resort to using the term, for the very first time in history, conspiracy theories, as a pejorative to undermine and dismiss any criticism of the official narrative, including conspiracy theories have frequently thrown suspicion on our organization. For example, by falsely alleging that Lee Harvey Oswald worked for us. We do not recommend that discussion of the assassination question be initiated where it is not already taking place. Where discussion is active, however, addressees are requested, A, to discuss the publicity problem with liaison and friendly elite contacts. This is fucking Mockingbird, man. You know what I mean? And it is.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna go hit the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm gonna keep listening.
All right.
So good.
I'm just saying, like, how can we even imagine that, as we always discuss, MK Ultra never ended. Gladio clearly, is I think it's a little bit different because obviously it's more of an umbrella term for a network of domestic stabilization and domestic terrorism, and these various organizations of trafficking and smuggling operations and drug smuggling, arms trafficking, obviously. But still, just understanding, man, that this is the mindset. Oh my God, my fucking computer just froze. Okay, there we go. Yeah, but understanding that this is the mindset and the psychology that these spooks, operate in this framework, this very framework that we're discussing, using these terms as pejoratives. Why would we imagine that this diabolical strategy of deception just went away, just vanished, and was not sophisticated over time? In many different ways, to where they could achieve, the kind of just what seems to be the ultimate level of manipulation psychologically. And so for me, I think we're in an environment, of course, oversaturated with these Mockingbird assets that obviously are manipulating our minds and distorting the very reality that we're embracing. Am I here still? Like my shit is freezing up right now, guys. So give me a second. There we go. I'm back. Jose, save me, bro. My I don't know what just happened. I froze up 2 different times. But still, yeah, I think it's important to make that connection that the black pill is the new pejorative, being leveraged against the dissenting opinions. You know what I mean? And holy shit, what is happening to my connection right now? This is absolutely
Hey,
crazy.
you work just fine for me. So I mean,
Are you hearing me? Can you see me?
I'm hearing you fine.
Dude, I'm frozen on my end, so
I
just
mean,
give
I'm
me a
seeing you
second.
fine. I was just watching. You did have like you froze up for a second, but the audio didn't go out. So whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, man,
Okay,
like, who
shit.
cares?
Now I'm back.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on, brother? Anyway,
Well,
whatever.
brother, we're an hour and a half. We've meandered around the RFK position. I think we've covered 1 out of 3 of the titled things. I don't know if you want to,
Son of
at
a
least hit
bitch.
those, so we don't have to change the title, or you can
1
change
of
that later.
3. Oh man. What the hell did I name this thing anyway?
I don't know
Uh,
why. Yeah, we used to when we
yeah.
first started doing these. We used to just fucking like call it the morning dump, kind of like what we do with Already Dead, and then title it later.
Yeah,
But
it might be a good idea to do that again.
I don't know. I
honestly,
like I think we should keep naming them beforehand.
Okay.
At least
It's
for
good
these
for
ones, and then
promotional
whatever
reasons.
you change it later. So whatever.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I pretty much always nail it. I think I've had to change it like once.
You bastard. Hey man.
Hey, it's a skill you learn. Maybe maybe
Wow.
one of these days I'll be able to do 5-hour fucking documentaries.
Stop
But
it, dude. I just can't help myself. Occasionally, I'll get to spiraling accidentally on
what do we
certain.
have on the war side of things? I mean, we have
Yeah.
really, it's like Israel's bombing everywhere is really what it comes down to. We're still bombing Yemen. We did some Israel did some wild shit in fucking Lebanon. That
So
like
crazy,
they
man.
fucking just straight up murked a bunch of aid workers.
Peacekeepers, yeah.
Like literally, it seems like targeted assassination with perhaps even torture. It seems there's implications. So
Yep.
that one's kind of fucking wild. But yeah, it just is kind of, as I've said recently when I've on the show, like when we normally at the beginning cover foreign policy, I've been telling them like, hey, you'll probably get less of that because we're at that like phase of things where it's just like 30 dead here, 70 dead there, 40 dead here, 20 dead here. And it's just like so soul crushing. But like, yes, we will tell you when there is like meaningful. I mean, not that any of that isn't meaningful, but it's a very different thing than when like actual like changes are happening. So in the realm of changing, I mean, there is stuff. We did threaten Iran to bomb recently, so I feel like that's probably worthwhile mentioning. And I also think probably in the realm of foreign policy, maybe also talking about the, I guess there was more stuff about them telling students to self-deport, whatever the fuck that means.
Right.
So I guess there's more in the realm of they're trying to fucking go after the First Amendment more. So I mean, I don't know. I've been very concerned about that. I know you have too. So, and then also on the Gaza side of things, I guess recently there was 436 killed in one day, and only 7 of them were Hamas. So that's worthwhile mentioning too.
That's
just
so
so you get an
crazy.
idea of the kind of ratio of innocent to. And they were initially, when they reported on that, they were, we killed this many terrorists. But that's just how this game is played. You're told terrorists, but when you look into it, you're like, okay, I guess it depends on how you want to fucking define a terrorist. If by a terrorist you mean a fucking 3-year-old riding around on his tricycle, sure. I guess that's a terrorist then, I guess, if we're going to define it that way.
These doctors in Gaza, like an American doctor as well, blowing the whistle, claiming these that it's basically a legitimate policy as far as
Is that
targeting.
like the third one or something, or am I living in Groundhog Day where I just keep seeing the same story? I feel like I'm losing my mind, or is it just different? Is it just different soldiers whistleblowing?
Whistleblowers. Yeah,
okay, because it's the same thing every time. It's like every time it's like, yep, it's me. Fucking Sinwar saying that. Yep, I'm also corroborating that. We got like multiple Palestinians in every fucking unit to just use as fucking cannon fodder, essentially. So.
Yeah, and also that the medical facilities basically are being overrun with Palestinian children who have been shot in the head, which is a pattern that is also consistently, reemerging.
Yep.
And so
targeting
that's what
children
I'm
is
seeing.
what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're saying it looks like children are being targeted, not just hit, targeted. It seems to be the implication.
Exactly, man.
So,
yeah. Which that alone, but with all the, just with all the very aggressive messaging toward Iran, the war drums beating. Obviously, once again, you have this insane B-2, these
right here,
B-2 bombers.
Trump threatens Iran with bombing if nuclear. Like
There you go.
he's made implications multiple times now. He explicitly is right here. I mean, this is all we really need to read out of this piece. We don't need to read the whole piece, but it says if they don't make a deal, this is on Sunday. He said there will be a bombing. This is Trump. It will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before, Trump told NBC News in a phone interview. And this is if they don't come to the table on a nuclear deal for their civilian nuclear thing. Bear in mind, we just had Tulsi Gabbard tell Congress for the umpteenth time, every fucking time it comes around, they ask the director of national intelligence this question. Hey, is Iran developing nuclear weapons? They go, nope, we got our fucking spooks on it. And it seems like, nope, they're still not making nuclear weapons. But
Exactly.
But yet we got to fucking bomb them if they don't come to the table for their civilian nuclear program, which is civilian. It's not weaponized. So,
And all American intelligence, as you said, have consistently reconfirmed that there is no, active policy of enriching uranium and attempting to manufacture a nuclear weapon. So like that alone is just like hilarious as a pretext. It's Netanyahu's playbook all day long. He's been trying to do this for how long? Presenting fake, images, intelligence photographs and shit of like nuclear facilities in Iran. And really all this is going to do is facilitate an actual direct military involvement between the US and Iran on behalf of Israel. I mean, is that not what's going to happen? I don't know. It's hard not to see it that way, especially when you see coming off the heels of this is right, these strategic bombers, these B-2 bombers being strategically put in place on Diego Garcia, this island in the Indian Ocean, which is a strategic hub for operations in the Middle East, obviously, and would be key for any sort of U.S. Bombing campaign in Iran. So as far as that is being confirmed, that all of these B-2 bombers have now been, have landed on the strategic hub. So I think that it's important, to at least kind of acknowledge the fact that we're headed in the wrong direction, in
more
terms
important than ever to keep an eye on who you're listening to. Because I mean, there's going to be a lot of these narrative people narrative agents you've listened to for a long time. You've probably gotten used to that, here soon, if things get wild here, are really probably not going to have much to say about this. So just keep an eye out, because this is not good. Not good at all. I mean, keep in mind too, this is in response to recently, this is a follow-up, because we recently, literally, we're just kind of making it worse every time. It was, what was it, like a few weeks ago, maybe we talked about this, that they said that they were, he implied that it could be bad if they don't come to the table. So that, like, literally, it's been like 3 or 4 or more increasingly stronger and stronger threats, bordering on whether you would even consider a threat from the start. But it's been progressively, we're at the point where, like, no, literally, we're going to bomb you if you don't. So, and then every single time Iran has kind of responded with those sort of statements being made by them that, like, kind of like, hey, we see what this is. You can't just talk to us like this and then expect us to come to you in any sort of good faith way. Right. And so they've basically throughout been like, hey, we're totally willing to have a deal, but like not like this, is basically what they've said over and over again, that like, hey, if you're behaving this way, like this isn't a way that, a path to peace. Like they've said they've been open to it, but like we've been, greeting them with aggression, hostility, like in every single way, even down to an economic sense, but expecting them to come to the table. It makes no real sense. So, and they're seeming to still not fall for it, but we're keep going further down that, path of escalation, despite them not doing anything. I mean, all the while too, we're also have been making weird statements of implying that they're responsible for things like the Houthis, yet nothing's changed there. No, I know it almost seems like they're reaching out for feelers of something to grab onto. I don't think they're going to go with that as like if they do attack Iran, because they're going to need more than that. I just feel like that kind of flubbed over narrative wise. I feel like most everyone was like, no, that's stupid. Like, like no, you can't just attack Iran because you're attacking the Houthis.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't because the Houthis weren't even attacking us at that point too. So like, it makes even less sense because it's like we started up. Like the Houthis said they were going to blockade Israel's shit. They hadn't done anything yet. And then we attack them. We attack them in response to them announcing they were going to start blocking off Israel's shit. So like we are the initial hostility here, I guess. Yeah. So
no,
I know, it's all nonsense trying to track the reasoning for this shit.
Oh yeah. Well, we're the aggressor in every aspect of the conflict, and meanwhile, Tulsi is running her mouth calling Trump the president of peace, right? Which is just laughable on its face, especially considering, did you see that like it was a few days ago, but whenever the rest of the signal chat was revealed, as far as the full signal chat revealed that they were basically, these officials were celebrating the bombing of that residential building in Yemen. And it's so ridiculous, man. Like it says the full signal chat between Trump administration officials discussing bombing Yemen revealed that top U.S. officials celebrated an airstrike that flattened a residential building, which likely killed many civilians. And so it is
admitted they were making up Iran. And to be fair, they didn't say they were making up Iran involvement. They were just saying that was the focus. So I mean, the to be fair, they could still believe that, but the way it was introduced into that does seem like it was like, oh, this is just what we're saying. It does seem like that's the implication. But they did in there that was like nobody even knows about the Houthis, so make sure the focus is that this is Iranian backed or whatever. And they're like, even Biden though they hadn't even attacked anyone yet.
And Biden failed was also the other important point that they wanted to focus on, which was priority in the media, which of course it would be, because you're dealing with the partisan deception and delusion that is always being employed for that very purpose. So I don't know, but when you see that, like of course, Mike Waltz being the U.S. National Security Advisor, who was allegedly the one who added Goldberg to the chat, so strange, right?
Yeah,
that is how it apparently happened. He's the one who said,
you missed most of that coverage, didn't you? Because I've been the one that was covered it while you were out. So
we talked about it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but I still found like it. I just thought it was crazy, like the fact that you had Gabbard, like Tulsi herself, who had obviously we had also.
I don't think she said a word in there. She didn't say a word.
No, she, it's totally crazy, man. Whenever you actually see how these individuals kind of communicate as well, in regard to exercising these policies, it's a little bit shocking, to be honest.
That's either how they really are or how they want you to think they are. Either way, it's not good.
Yep. Again, like this all, remember how skeptical I've been of Tulsi for quite some time. That was just based off of gut instinct from seeing various clips of her and seeing obviously her and just political chameleon, man. You know what I mean? Like, as far as you cannot be such a hypocrite and refer to the Yemeni conflict as a genocidal war, the U.S. supported genocidal conflict, and then all of a sudden be on the exact opposite of that, just politically speaking. Like it's really just impossible to dismiss.
By the way, Elk is in, I believe, your Rumble, and he left a link for I guess I'm assuming it's for RFK. He says dick pics. I'm assuming the implication is
I don't want to click it if it says
so I know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, don't bring it up on the screen, but let us know if it's RFK's dick. Let us know, describe it.
That's hilarious.
So if that's the case, I mean, if this ends up being just over a dick pic, come on, dude, this is a whole although it wouldn't surprise me either. We've had a few, it does seem like We had a few nothing burger stories that just felt like they were just thrown out there just to be like, oh, look at that. And then we just so I wouldn't be surprised. All right. Do you want to try to hit this AI healthcare story or
Well,
or do you want to say fuck that
time,
one?
dude. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have time for that one.
Yeah.
Because I had kind of quite a bit prepared to discuss on that front due to the fact that you have so much, like you have another picture of the HHS, the right hand of the Stephanie Spear, right, who was Rabbi Shmuley, took a picture with her as well and posted it saying congratulations, which this is very strange. He had 66 retweets and 39 likes on the post, and it's his actual account. And it's just so weird to see that just you never really see the numbers play out in that way. You know what I mean? And of course, he's saying congrats, Stephanie Spear, on being sworn in as RFK Jr.'s right hand at HHS. Stephanie is an amazing leader and a great friend. And yeah, you look into what
just
is
look at the headline. I was just stringing this up so you saw the headline because you were just talking about Gabbard. Gabbard calls Trump president of peace despite Yemen bombing campaign support for Gaza slaughter. So I just thought that was worthwhile since you're like, oh yeah, talking about her. Yeah, that's who she is. Yep. She's Trump's a president of peace. This is the president of peace, people. So but go on.
Yeah, and meanwhile, you can pull up that video once again of her being confronted by Derek Bros about her connection to the World Economic Forum Future Global Leaders Program. And that, again, I don't know, man. I don't know how you can go through that. It's an actual course that you take that has curriculum involved with it. And you know what I mean? It's not like the implication was that they just put her name on a list. Like, that's not how it works. As much as people actually would have you believe that is, it's that simple, but that's an oversimplification because they want you to dismiss it once again at face value and not at least like dig into the special interest playing out. And I think that that's the issue here. So Tulsi, we should never have trusted Tulsi. I think that she pretty much sold her soul once she couldn't attain the political power in her own right. And if not before that, I mean, I don't even know how human compromise really works at the political level in regard to the gatekeepers and how it, can you actually achieve a successful election and not be propped up and kind of initiated into this what the shadow government, which it very much seems that way. I don't know. Who knows? Thomas Massey seems to be making it happen, right, to some extent. So I guess it's possible. And we can always point to Ron Paul, who refused to take special interest money, and everything. But yeah. Anyway, it's just at this point. Again, like, it's going to be way too much for me to actually cover the AI healthcare revolution because, again, it brings in Project Stargate and the CDC director who, she's promoting on DARPA TV, basically. All right. It's like the craziest thing ever because she was once the head of DARPA, right? And now she's running the CDC promoting this AI healthcare initiative. And it's Susan Maneres. And yeah, it's
you
very...
have I won't be in tomorrow, so you have the all to yourself. You won't be distracted by me. I do have a couple stories we could probably maybe go through real quick. Like, I have two more that maybe we could go through real quick because we referenced. I feel like they're worth going into. Here's the one on the self-deporting. This was covered by Times of India. Like, it hasn't even been covered in the States yet. It says, I'm not going to read the whole piece, but hundreds of international students in the U.S. are getting an email from the U.S. Department of State asking them to self-deport owing to campus activism. Immigration attorneys contacted by TOI affirmed this development and added a few Indian students may also be at the receiving end of such emails for something as innocuous as sharing a social media post. So that's the long and short of it. I mean, that is really, they haven't confirmed it yet, that they've reached out. So this is pretty new. I guess there's reports from a bunch of Indian students. We haven't really heard anything else. I guess routing up this information to them that, they're being asked via email and apparently implying that they're looking over their social media. And I guess they made claims they were already going to do such things in the past. So it's not that really that crazy to think that they were or that they are. So yeah, it's just kind of wild that that's where we're at now. It looks like they're probably fucking going through random fucking foreigner social media, and anything that they decide is considered political against Israel seems to be that's the case. So
anti-Semitism is the justification. We already discussed this. It's the violation pretext. It's like that. It really is just infringing upon and violating our inherent rights. So, and by the way, on that same note, Trump floating that idea of American citizens being sent to El Salvadorian prisons.
Yeah,
dude, that's crazy.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
I'm telling you, this is a for one, it's like one of those spots. If you're placing your foot in the sand or putting your foot at the line of like, no, not to American citizens, it's like it just seems like a weaker position to hold, and it's also just like such a. They're going to find something that somehow applies to citizens, and they find some sort of way for you to justify it. Because now it is like we're in this weird where they just like act like the Bill of Rights doesn't apply to anybody but, citizens, and that's why they're able to do this shit. But it's still just kind of like, well, you can see how that's kind of fucking insane way to be, right? But I don't, it's just such a weak spot to put your. If that's your understanding of rights, it just kind of shows where you're already kind of in a weak spot. I don't know.
First of all, look at this dude's eyeballs. It's so insane. He looks like a fish. But we check this out. This is so crazy, and it kind of perfectly aligns with this discussion, because you have apparently this is Laura Loomer again. So we all know
fish person, dude. It's a Lovecraftian fish person,
dude. It really is. It's nuts, but it's so crazy because apparently there's this new app where citizens can self-report illegal aliens and foreigners engaged in criminal activity. And get paid in crypto.
Report
for
on
doing
your neighbors, eat the fish food, live in the pod.
Apparently, this is Jacob Angles, an independent journalist who's discussing how the ICERAID app is used to geotag submissions, AI verification, and tip sharing to assist local and federal law enforcement in catching illegal aliens who need to be deported.
Dude,
this is what crowdsourced.
These are two great examples of the reliability.
Baby.
These are two great examples in the reliability of physiognomy is what these are.
Exactly, man. Yeah. Like they truly are. This is the funniest thing. And by the way, here's the founder of this new ICERAID app hanging out with Epstein associate Brock Pierce. How ironic that the creator of the company using crypto to incentivize reporting illegal immigrants to the ICE Gestapo would pal around with the den trafficker. That is just so crazy to me. So we're going to have to pull up Brock Pierce and his connections to the network. That would be a fun thing to cover, I think. But listen to this, because this is, again, this is also very much a pretext in regard to this kind of messaging surrounding the immigration crisis. I think don't ever let a good crisis go to waste, as they say. And so that's what they'll inevitably, manufacture is a crisis to then, of course, generate their perfect solution. And so, yeah, I think this fish person has something to do with it.
Tom Homan and Marco Rubio are doing a great job, but also there's a lot of investigative journalists out there and people who are, kind of like internet sleuths who also are finding information that these vetters at the government level, at the intel level in these agencies should be finding, but they're not finding. And so I find this app to be rather interesting, and you reported on it. And so I wanted you to come on my show and talk about it, because now it's kind of like a crowdsource approach on the blockchain. Right? You can actually earn cryptocurrency. It's really cool.
Guys.
You can actually earn cryptocurrency for sending in.
Incentivize. Dude, this is crazy. Honestly, it's like some North Korean shit. Like, tell on your neighbor just because they're potentially an illegal alien.
Fuck are you
hey,
looking
man.
at?
Hey, I'm over here, bro. It's so crazy.
All right, but I gotta go. I don't know if you want to keep playing this. I don't know if there's anything else meaningful there. I think it's just look at this fucking freak.
Basically.
You ready to get out of here, though?
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
I mean, you
buddy.
can stick around if you want. You can do another
No, I have
hour. I
too
mean, I'm
much
sure the
to do
people will
today.
love that.
I have too much to do today, and I'll be back in the morning, so
Yeah,
we'll cover a lot
okay.
more. But
Hell yeah, I'll be
anyway,
back Wednesday. So Daddy will be back Wednesday. Don't worry, fellas. So
hell yeah, brother. All right, well, and then yeah, tomorrow, already dead, of course. So
hell yeah.
and just quick promo for myself, like I said, going on Big Truth today at 4 my time Pacific Standard, and then Wednesday, Forbidden Knowledge. I believe I'm going on with him as well. I think that's Wednesday, and then on Friday, Monica.
You're gonna have to
Perez.
start getting more exclusive.
Bro, my I overschedule myself a
Yeah,
little too
you
often.
you're too.
sometimes.
You need to learn to say no or just not respond.
Can't
That's
say
a
no.
skill that
I
you're
have
gonna
a
have to learn.
problem.
Hey,
I'm telling you,
you're,
man.
you're gonna get to the point, dude. I will tell you, you should hit up Monica. I meant to follow up with her. I asked her about coming on the morning dump one of these days, and she said Tuesday would be the next day, and then never followed up with her. So that's tomorrow.
Oh.
You should totally DM her and be like, "Hey, Jose said you're usually available. If you're still available, you should pop in
Shit.
tomorrow." So you could do it with you could
That'll be
do
fun.
morning dump with her one of these days. So, but do you get all your plugs out, or you want anything else?
Those were just kind of the upcoming interviews I have this
Mhm.
week, and other than that, you guys know Patreon / the Underclass
Mm-hmm.
Podcast, basically the best place to support me, and yeah, I'll have another whatever this is dropping today, so that's episode 9, I believe,
Hell
and
yeah.
and yeah, beyond that, guys, I am behind on my solo project. I'm trying so hard, but I just don't want to rush things either. And again, as I said, I overscheduled myself, so it's just going to take me a little bit longer to finally get this thing through the pipeline. But I'm going to have to figure out a better, more delicate balance with how I'm kind of approaching my process with everything that's going on right now. So I
Your
think that
delicate
alone.
balance will have to be from now on when someone says, "Hey, Austin, can you come on my show?" You go, "Let's go see how many followers they have. Let's go see how big their YouTube channel is. Let's go." Not just yes to everybody. You can't be the yes
Dude,
man because you'll be
know.
worn thin and not producing any of your own content.
It's basically what is happening to me. So yeah, I'm going to pivot back to what got me here and try and prioritize, my solo project getting completed. So that is my goal. I'm gonna be kind of again balancing a lot this week, but yeah, we'll be making some significant
Mhm.
headway in the near future. But beyond that, man, nothing but love. You guys know this. I'll catch you in the morning.
Hell yeah, dude. And keep an eye out, dude. We're doing big shit out here, guys. So definitely follow both of us. We'll be going on Jake Shields soon. Really think we're going to be going to a whole new level in the next year. Hopefully next year or so, you see a super well-oiled product, a lot more research, a lot more, I don't know, just I think it'll free us up. Once we get the eyes here and the money follows, and once everything's all set up, dude, we're gonna be killing it, dude. We're already killing it as it is, so only going up from here. You guys' support and followership is only gonna make this ship take off even more. But with that, make sure to follow me at on YouTube, all major art packages, Rumble as well. That's where we're at. This is the No Way Jose channel. If you want to support us without giving any money, you can like, share, subscribe, comment on any of those different given platforms. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. That goes a long way. I didn't leave the ad read today. I totally forgot about it. But if you guys want a product as well, you can do Nadeau Shave Co. That's a company that supports us. It's also a great product. It is better than those multi-blade cartridges you typically get. It's cheaper. It's better for your skin. It gives you a smoother shave. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's from a company that doesn't hate your guts. And on top of all that, you can use Jose at checkout for 10% off. And then, if you do want to support the show, just directly support the show, cash is king, baby. And patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. That's the place to do it. Shooting for 1 to 2 episodes behind the paywall week these days. So, and with 4 altogether. So if you're a patron, you're getting those paywalled episodes. You're getting them almost a month before the public is at this point. So you get that early stuff. You also can get the ad-free RSS feed there. And then also on top of all that, you can get the video call function on me and Austin's weekly call-in show, which is already dead, which we're doing tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So pop in for that, hang out with us. Those are always fun. But yeah, the highest level is my sponsors. I read them off every episode. My co-host on Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad. Also have at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRECK, at _ Infant Zeal, then Tim Tuttle, at Jolly on Klebold, then Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, then Big Fan of the Show, Torrin May, then at INWARD Lover. But yeah, appreciate all you guys, especially those guys I just listed off, for supporting the show, helping us do what we do. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Deuces pop back in tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, unless Austin does it at a different time. Austin will be in here on both channels, both YouTube and I guess it'll be on your Rumble too. So your Rumble, your YouTube, my Twitter. So all the different platforms it's usually at, it'll be there. And also I'll be back on Wednesday. So pop in and we'll be back tomorrow. Already dead. So with that, we're out of here. Deuces. Bye-bye.